Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Stuff and Things podcast. It is time for Stranger Things once again as we are talking about the new season of Stranger Things. It is me, I am Sam, for everyone who didn't know. Joining me once again like she has done for all of the recap episodes, it's my daughter, it's Phoebe.
Hey everybody.
Welcome back, kid, how you doing?
I'm a mixed bag of emotions.
A mixed bag of emotions. Well, let's start by letting everybody know straight away that we are discussing episodes 1, 2 and 3 of season 4 today. The plan is to then wrap out the rest of the first part of season 4. And then obviously we got to wait for the basically like a feature film ending of episodes to come later in July. I think it's July 1st.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. So this is episodes 1, 2, 3 and 4. And as per tradition on this podcast, 1, 2 and 3. Of season 4. That's what I meant to say.
There you go.
I'll get there eventually. As per tradition on this podcast, I asked for the titles of the episode.
Oh, no. Okay.
Do you think you're going to be able to do any of these?
I feel like I know the first one.
Okay, episode 1, the title was...
The Hellfire Club.
Well done.
Okay.
I am very impressed. Episode 2, the title was...
Vecna's Curse? Is that how you say it?
Yes, well
Vecna's
done.
Curse. 3 is like monster something. Monster and...
Ooh, you're so close.
Oh, is that right? Okay, monster and...
Think Superman.
Superwoman.
No, close.
I don't know.
The monster and the superhero.
Oh, Superwoman, superhero, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you're close enough.
Yeah, I'm close enough.
But yeah, so we're going to walk through the episode, sort of picking out key points and things we noticed. Obviously starting with episode 1. And the episode 1 begins with a cold open, which had been released before, which is an 8 minutes flashback to September the 8th, 1979.
Ooh.
You do like flashback music.
Yeah.
This had already been pre-released, and me and you had already seen this. I think most fans had. It was Dr. Brenner back at Hawkins' lab, and we had a full nursery, if you like, of children.
Yeah, all shaped. They like. I was like, is that one 11? No. No. They all look the same. They're like clones.
Yeah, shaved heads everywhere. They also vary in abilities. We meet one Dr. Brenner spending time with, who is able to, he's drawing a picture and the kid's able to see what he's drawing without
his eyes
looking.
closed,
So it goes to show that this, it wasn't just 11, which we already knew, but this gives us more of a sense of just how big the experiment was. And then things start to go very badly wrong. And straight up, basically every child in that whole area, it seems, gets murdered.
And literally the only one that we see is alive is Brenner. So
Dr. Brenner's the only one who seems to survive because he gets knocked out by a door.
Yeah.
Getting thrown at him. The security guards, nurses, doctors.
The children,
everyone just dead, blood everywhere. And then we see the only one still standing is 11. And Dr. Brenner's like, what have you done?
Yeah, so, and then, it's a bit like, you're meant to be the good child. Whoa.
Well, we do know from season 1 that she straight up murdered people on a fairly regular basis.
But to that scale?
Well,
children.
Well, I'd like to know whether you think that that's actually her and that's actually accurate, because when I watched just the 8 minutes, I did wonder to myself if perhaps over time it's going to get revealed that's not actually what happened, or it wasn't her. Because if you've got all the different abilities there, all the different kids that are there that's possible, some of them could have had mind control. You know,
or like shape-shifting abilities. They could be pretending to be.
You know, you imagine someone who's not a good person taking control of Elle's powers.
Yeah.
It would be quite devastating.
Yep.
So I did wonder about that, and I did wonder if perhaps that had happened. It could just be, of course, that we just want it to be that way because we don't like the idea of 11, a character that we all like.
But we can tell that at that point she was really like straining because we can see usually it's like a blood coming out of her nose, but it was
blood from ears, eyes, nose. Yeah, you're right. So she really amped up her abilities to do that.
Yeah.
That flashback aside then, so that has happened and it's left us sort of wondering, context, I guess, to certain other events. But we then go to March 21st, 1986. It's basically where we now catch up with everybody.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a quick run through of basically where everybody is. I've written here, catching up with the characters in my notes. So 11 and the Byers family are in California.
Yep.
Did we actually find out where? I think it's just a bit like Hawkins, Indiana. It's a bit of like a made-up suburb somewhere in California. Yeah, I mean, the key indicator is it's sunny and California Dreaming's the song is being played, so that's kind of our big giveaway. Elle is, in essence, narrating this because she's writing a letter to Mike.
Yeah.
And she's talking about how great everything is. But what we're seeing doesn't really match the words she's saying.
She's got loads of friends, but no. Nuh-uh.
No, not at all. So, yeah, American high school sucks by the looks of it. I'm not sure I'd enjoy that at all. And the Byers family, so we've got Jonathan, who now appears to be a little bit, I don't know what the right word is,
naughty.
A bit naughty, a bit kind of like he's off the tracks a little bit, perhaps. Lost his way, shall we say. Will just seems to be Will. I mean, looks older, but Will doesn't really seem to have changed that much.
He does seem a bit lonely.
He does seem a bit lonely, and
I feel like he's felt that for the last couple of seasons because people have still moved on without him, and now he's been separated.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's interesting because obviously the focus is on Elle and the fact that, she's telling Mike, I've got all these friends, and she clearly doesn't, etc. But we don't actually see that Will has made friends either.
No.
He doesn't appear to be talking to anyone there, having a conversation with anyone. So, he's working on a painting all the time, and then we later find out that painting was for Mike.
Yeah. But
and Mike's not really that interested. So, it's a strange one there. We'll have to catch up with him a little bit, but that's where the Byers family is, Joyce, etc. as well. Lucas, back in Hawkins, Lucas is on the basketball team now.
Yeah.
With a really cool afro haircut.
Cool.
Yeah.
I question that word.
Off of 80s.
Yeah.
It is very off of 80s,
Retro.
trust me. I mean, the show's set there, and it is, for me, it's funny anyway. He looks like someone, an extra from an MC Hammer video. But yeah, he is there. Max is very alone and appears to be struggling.
Bit depressed.
She's not really interacting with anyone, and you see her have a few side eyes with Lucas, so I'm guessing they're not together anymore.
Yeah, they say something like, just because I broke up with you.
Yeah.
Like that.
So that's sort of there, and she doesn't appear to be doing too well. Dustin and Mike are in a Dungeons and Dragons club called the Hellfire Club.
Which I find interesting, because not that long ago they were like, we're so over Dungeons and Dragons. Like, in the last season they were so over that.
I think one of the things that we're seeing here is like people trying to fit in. So they've moved from, because obviously the school system in America is slightly different to here. So they've moved from a middle school to a high school. And they're trying to find their people, if you like. And I think they're struggling. They're not sporty like Lucas, so they're not really fitting in with them.
Yeah.
They're not overly... I don't know, Dustin probably is very academic science-wise, but not massively. So, again, and then this guy has come along. He does Dungeons and Dragons. Stuff like,
very serious.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, great, this is our people. This is where we fit in. So, I mean, I think that's more the case of it more than anything else. They probably thought growing up meant you do away with these things, but That's not. So the character we meet via that is like the leader of the Hellfire Club, the dungeon master for their game is Eddie. A guy, similar look to Billy.
Yeah, personality kind of makes you think of like a Billy, but not like a mean Billy, like the crazy like side of Billy.
Yeah, the crazy side without the homicidal tendency, I think would be the where I'd go. So yeah, it's there's a host of things. I mean, Steve and Robin are still working in the video place.
Yeah.
Nancy.
Although Steve does seem to have more of an education on stuff now, like he's always educated himself on films.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit more than he had before.
Yeah.
But it's still basically using it to pick up women. That's Steve. But not really dating anyone beyond one or two dates. Robin mocks him for it. Robin's a little bit in love with a girl that she's in the band with.
Yeah.
And doesn't know what to do about it. Steve's like, go for it. And she's like, yeah, not so easy for me. Nancy appears to be running the school paper in Hawkins. I'm not... See, this is one of those things I love to bring Alfie in on, but we can't on this one because she was working for the actual Hawkins Gazette, actual Hawkins Post, sorry. Yeah. And now she appears to be working for the high school version, which I don't know if back in the 80s that was something that was quite a big thing anyway, like people would actually buy that, or whether it was just for the high school.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It kind of feels like a downgrade of a job.
Definitely. But at least at this one, she's her own boss, it would appear. She's the editor.
She's the editor.
So she gets to make the decisions. So it's probably a case of just getting the experience. We get to meet up with Erica again, which is funny. We like Erica.
Yeah, love Erica.
And we meet another new character who's a cheerleader. Chrissy, yeah, you're right. Now, the way we meet Chrissy in this episode is via Max properly, anyway.
Yeah,
so,
we see her kind of cheerleading whatever, but we properly see her and hear her speak.
So this is the episode. By and large, is just a catch-up episode. It's like, here's all your characters, here's a few new ones, here's where everyone is. But the Chrissy storyline is the Stranger Things, Ermigerd, it's so scary moment. Because Chrissy's in the bathroom upset about something.
Yeah, throwing up. I
mean, to be honest with you, cheerleader makes herself sick, because where I thought that was going, the sort of weight loss thing. Max checks on her, she's like, oh, I'm okay, and Max leaves her. But when Max leaves her, the door starts being hammered, and
but it starts off as her. Well, we know it's her mum. She's like, Mum.
It's her mother's voice, yeah.
And then it kind of morphs into this demon
demon thing,
and we can see under the thing these feet.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, that's a Demogorgon. But the more we get into it, I'm like, that's not a Demogorgon. No. That is something much worse.
It was that was quite intense. That was quite, and then when she opens the door, finally, it's all gone.
Yeah.
Which makes you think it's in her head.
Yeah. The mind flare. Oh god, the mind flare's back.
So you're kind of like, okay, that's the first thing that's happened that's made us go, oh no, here we go again.
Yeah. Couldn't just have a normal.
No. Could you imagine, though, all joking aside, if Stranger Things Season 4 had just been like a normal high school show for the whole season? Everyone waiting for something to go wrong.
And then, right at the end, it's just one thing, that's it.
And that's it, sets up for Season 5. I think people would have gone crazy. But in this episode, like I said, there's a lot of catching up with people. There's a lot of just kind of a fair few nice lines, some funny scenes, funny interactions, which we always enjoy. But that's the story arc.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the bit that makes you go, oh no, here we go again. This is what the new problem is. But like I said, we're going to wander through a few other things. So we've talked about that with Chrissy in the introduction of, I mean, my note here is just seeing a monster, what the hell is going on? We talk about the relationship. So Nancy is running the paper, like I said, and Jonathan, and we get an illustration that their relationship has become strained.
Yeah.
So Mike is flying out to California to visit Elle.
Yeah.
But Nancy's not going to see Jonathan.
No. Because she's got work to do, but Jonathan isn't going out of his way to see Nancy either.
No.
So if they really liked each other,
Yeah, exactly. There'd be some effort being made. And also we get in this, they're both talking to their friends or talking to people, and we're getting basically the same story from both of them, but from two different points of view, which is, it's all fine. We're going to be going to the same college together and stuff like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, Jonathan. Okay, Jonathan.
Okay.
We're seeing you, buddy. We're seeing you. We talk about, we meet up with these characters and with Chrissy. We're going to follow the Chrissy story. Because like I said, we catch up with everyone. Everyone's okay. There's no real big issues or anything like that in this episode. It's all just like, oh, here's the person, here's where they are. But it's the Chrissy storyline that I think we need to focus on.
Yeah.
So Chrissy at one point goes out into the woods and is freaked out because she sees like a grandfather clock merged.
It's like stuck into a tree.
It's like it's merged with the tree. It's like it's part tree, part clock.
And something that I remember from the trailer is like the clock. So I was like, oh, what if it's like that's like the big thing? It's going to be the clock. And we do see clocks like.
Yeah, it's
if you see the clock in an episode, you're like, okay.
Yeah, something bad's going to happen. Now,
it's like foreshadowing in a way. I didn't look at like the time on the clock or anything, or if that's got something to do with it. Like it's telling you. Like,
see, now that's something me and you're going to have to go look at now.
Yeah,
I think.
like see if like the clock's like represents like this is how long you've got kind of.
See, that's going to be quite interesting because if we look at that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Why didn't we think of that before?
I just thought of that and now I want to go check.
See, now I should pause this and check. But no, but that's worth... The fact that you've said it now, if anyone else has done that, they'll be like, oh, yeah, you were right. So that's good. Yeah. Well done. I'm very proud of you. So one of the things, like I said, we get with this storyline, she's out in the woods, she's really freaking out. When I see the clock kind of merged in with the tree and she's seeing these visions... I did think to myself that perhaps this is a sign that the Upside Down and the real world are kind of merging.
Yeah, because they've been separate with like ways in and out, but now what if they're like becoming
like overlapping and certain people are able to see it.
Yeah,
I mean that's kind of where I thought anyway at this point. She then runs into the guy we were talking about, Eddie.
I like Eddie.
Yeah, and Eddie seems nice. He's quite intense, but seems nice. And he basically like says, "Look, I eat my lunch here. You're fine. I hope you're okay." And Eddie appears to be a dealer, a seller of illegal substances.
Oh no.
I know, bad boy. And she wants to. It would appear she's so freaked out by what's going on. She thinks it's purely in her head.
Yeah.
She wants to do something to try and distract her from that, and she asks, have you got anything stronger? And he obviously says, we don't see this is off camera, but he obviously says, back at my home, because when we connect with them again later, they're at her home,
which is right by where Max lives, at like a trailer park kind of.
You got it, yeah. One of the things with Max, which is obviously different, is her stepfather, who was Billy's dad, has gone and left them.
Yeah.
Max's mum is now appears to be drinking heavily.
Yeah, all the money was coming from Billy's dad's, and now he's gone.
Yeah, so they're living in a trailer park. She's not doing well.
No,
she's not doing well. And I'd like to think perhaps some of her friends might pick up on this.
I mean, they kind of are, but not like they're not that concerned. They're like, "Oh, are you okay?
Yeah,
you don't seem okay. Oh, if you're okay, then bye." And it's like, if you're concerned, be concerned.
Yeah.
Don't kind of.
Hopefully, we might see more of that. Hopefully, we might get her seeing her get a little bit of help. Like I said, we're following this main arc here with Chrissy, where Chrissy goes to Eddie's place, and Eddie goes off to find something, and it's at this point that Chrissy starts seeing these things again.
Yep.
And it's intense, really, really intense. She's like walking around a creepy ass house. Her family or a family are basically like trapped, and their eyeballs have been removed.
Yeah, like mouth stitched up.
Yeah, it's really awful.
And we hear like this same thing of like Mum's voice morphing into this like.
And then we see this creature start to stalk her through the house. And then in the real world, we see Eddie come back and we see her just standing there, like her blinking, like her eyes are going, like she's in a trance.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to break her out of it, worried, freaked
up.
out, like what the hell's going on. And then this creature gets close to her and the thing and says, you're in so much pain. Let me take that away from you or something like that.
This is the end of your suffering.
Yeah. and he puts a hand on her head.
And in the real world, she starts to like levitate, and I'm going, oh god.
She starts to levitate, and it really freaked me out. It freaked the poor guy Eddie was really freaked out. And then all of her bones start to snap and break.
Yeah.
Her eyeballs vanish.
And she drops.
And you see Eddie scream. To be fair, with Eddie, that's pretty much what my reaction would be. I don't think I'd have been able to handle that. And Eddie gets the hell out of there.
Yeah. Kind of a bit traumatized.
Traumatized. I mean, that is episode 1.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other scene I didn't really talk about is the fact that we do get to see the Hellfire Club mixed in with a basketball game. So, like, Lucas is playing basketball rather than playing D&D. He's made a choice.
Yeah.
So they call in Erica to replace him.
Yeah.
And Erica's become a D&D nerd.
Yeah,
who would have predicted that?
Will, at the end of the last season, gave her all his like D&D stuff.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's got into it and is really good at it, and they win their campaign, and Lucas scores the winning points to win the basketball game, and it's all kind of interlinked together.
And isn't there a thing with a doll?
Yes, that's the last thing we're going to talk about.
Doll.
So Joyce is
back in California.
Joyce is in California, and she gets a package delivered from Russia.
And I'm like, wait a minute, we've got creatures, now we've got Russia again.
Yeah, and the package is a Russian doll.
Spy?
Yeah, and it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, I hate Russian dolls.
Really? Do you not like them?
No, they're terrifying.
What, the dolls like the one in the show, or the ones that like you open them up and there's more and more of them inside?
Oh, both.
See, when I went to Russia, I brought back loads of those.
Ooh.
Oh, thanks. Oh, there you go. That's your inheritance gone. So moving on to chapter 2, Vecna's Curse. The police are hunting Eddie. Eddie lives with his uncle. His uncle's come home and found that body. By the way, Eddie's uncle, I mean, that's going to be messing you up. And you get home from work, you work nights, you open your door and that's on the floor.
A dead girl.
And not just like a murdered body. This is like her whole body's been snapped into...
like completely like deformed.
It is awful. It is really bad. And he's just sat outside like smoking, traumatized. Yeah. But yeah, the police are hunting Eddie. One of the little subplots, and again, I'm really sad I can't bring Alfie in on this, but it's something that didn't really come here, but I've done some reading, and apparently it really was a thing. People in America, or small town America, really believe that those kids who played Dungeons and Dragons were a cult. They thought they were like Satan worshippers.
Wow.
I know. It's a lot, but you know, America. Yeah. You can't spell America without Erica. So yeah, I did some reading on that, and I was genuinely true. There was a good time in America where people thought that. So, a girl's been murdered, and in a really horrific way that they would think is like a cult or something.
It's almost like kind of what you'd see in like a cartoon, like those dramatic cartoons where someone like, I don't know, steps on something, they're like, they crack. It's like, it's not real, but it is real. Like,
exactly.
You can't comprehend it.
Can't comprehend it. One of the other things we see as well is Hopper's deputies. One of them's now the sheriff.
Yeah. I don't like him.
Oh,
I prefer the other one. Why could he not be the sheriff?
I think the other one's a bit stupid, to be honest with you.
But I like him more 'cause he's funny.
Yeah, okay.
Popularity.
Let's face it, Sheriff in Hawkins is a bit of a thankless job.
Yeah.
So Max, we learned from Max that she saw the lights flickering in her trailer at the same time as all this happened, and she heard a scream and she saw Eddie run away. Max goes to Dustin, and the two of them then go to Steve and Robin because they realise that perhaps, you know, if Max isn't the murderer...
Not Max.
Sorry.
Eddie.
If Eddie isn't the murderer, then maybe this is the upside down again. Again. And so they go to Steve and Robin. Steve and Robin are working at the video store. They use the computer. They're trying to find Eddie. And then the four of them become a super team. And they go off to find him.
Yeah.
They do manage to find... We have a kind of a funny scene where they work out where he could be hiding.
And they're kind of poking around like, Eddie.
Yeah.
Eddie.
It's Steve with like a boat paddle.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
he's like
hitting.
At something.
And then Eddie jumps out. It was a jump scare. It was a jump
It
scare
made me
that got
very
you.
annoyed.
Yeah, it got you. I remember. And so then there was this. He jumps out and there's this discussion going on. It's safe to say Eddie's freaked out.
Yeah.
And Dustin, when they finally calm him down, Dustin then tells him all about the Upside Down and everything they've been through. And they start to try and compare notes. But the one thing is they talk to him like, oh, you know, did you see like dust in the air, stuff like that? And he's like, no, none of that.
Like, it's not like we didn't see it even in the one where it was like, I say it in Chrissy's head, it could have been real.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, because it wasn't like the Upside Down she was in.
No.
It was like a fake reality, like it was in her head.
It was strange. And what we do see, however, in this episode is the creature that they're now dubbing Vecna.
Yeah.
Is in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
But somehow he's being connected to the real world.
Yeah.
Like sort of, I say vines, but it's like tentacles like attached to him. And
it's
that's
like he's
when
charging in a way.
And that's when he kind of comes into the real world and picks his victims, if you like. He like gets in their heads. And you actually see a representation of that in one of the episodes where he like charges into one of the basketball players' heads.
Yeah, it's like I feel like he's searching for vulnerable people.
Yeah, and we'll circle back to that at the end because obviously there's a thing about the psychiatrist that we want to talk about. So with that going on with Eddie and everything that's going on there, we also have Nancy. Now, Nancy's obviously heard about a Hawkins high school student's been found dead.
Yeah, definitely wants to write about
Being a journalist, she wants to go and investigate, and she takes a young kid with her called Fred, who's been taught, you know, he was there all through episode 1, chatting to her and stuff. And little Fred is the definition. If you were to say, okay, define nerd in a picture, Fred, would you say you
Fred.
literally, someone has literally designed a character and wrote nerd all over it. Fred and her go out to the trailer park. Nancy makes an excuse that she's going to visit her friend Max, so the police will let them in. But while they're in the car there, Fred's talking to the police officer, and Fred starts to see the police officer as a demon. Yeah. Just like the poor girl did before. Like, she started visualizing things.
Like the police officer, the kind of morph demon thing is like murderer. Yeah. Murderer.
So, and he keeps saying it was an accident. It was an accident. Basically, it would appear the kid was in a car crash.
Yeah, from like
and
flashbacks.
People died. Yeah.
And so, he's like one of the people that survived, and people are blaming him.
So it's like his own guilt, in essence, like survivor's guilt, and it's being picked up by this creature. He's really freaked out, as you can imagine.
And he's got this scar on his face, and it like opens up.
Yeah, it was.
But then it like snaps back, and the scar's fine. The policeman's like,
"You're okay, kid." Yeah, you.
And Nancy's like, "What are you doing? You're wrecking my plan."
Yeah. They go in, and the kid's obviously just freaked out, standing around. Nancy's walking around trying to find answers, and then he just starts to hear things again.
Like the clock. And I'm like, not a clock. Not a clock.
And he goes off into the woods to investigate. You know, you're going to the scene of where a high school student's been murdered, and you're a high school student. Do you wander around by yourself?
Especially not into the woods.
No.
When it's getting dark.
I do question these kids sometimes. It's like they're asking to be murdered, I gotta be honest with you. This kid does go off, and we basically get a repeat. He goes off, sees the clocks, like we've said. Yeah. He's freaked out by it.
He sees these, like, morph creatures. They're all, like, shouting, murderer, murderer, and he's running off. And
then the creature, Vecna, catches him, does the same thing. And
breaks his bones, takes his eyes, and he drops.
And he drops in the middle of the road, this one. I mean, it was really... Again, very violent, very nasty. Now, at this point, me and you are looking at each other watching this because we've obviously seen the trailer. Yeah. And we've seen two characters now get levitated and be murdered the minute they're levitated.
And in the trailer, we see Max
get levitated.
So we're like, no.
Yeah. So
no.
I'm nervous for Max now.
Yeah.
You nervous for Max now?
Especially as she's kind of not in a good way.
Well, we're going to come on to that in
Yeah.
our episode 3, but yeah, I am very nervous for Max. Part of the reason why I stopped at episode 3, I don't think I had the emotional capacity to deal with that. So Nancy is doing this investigation. She speaks to Eddie's uncle, and Eddie's uncle tells him about a kind of Hawkins boogeyman, and she's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, of course you're too young. You know, you only think about all that stuff at Hawkins' lab, but long before that, people thought this place was cursed because of a guy called Victor Creel."
Yeah.
And he said Victor Creel murdered his family and removed their eyeballs. It was
Yeah.
disgusting, and he's locked up in an asylum.
Yeah.
Maybe he's escaped.
Yeah, he's convinced it's.
He's
him.
convinced
and
it's
he's trying to
Victor Creel.
convince people it's not Eddie. Everyone thinks Eddie's like
Yeah.
insane just because he plays this game.
Yeah.
My Eddie would never do this kind of thing.
No, I know completely and utterly.
And we know
you.
he hasn't.
We know he hasn't, but we
but-
also know the hysteria around people who play Dungeons and
Yeah.
Dragons. The basketball team are hunting him. The Hellfire Club
Because the boyfriend of Chrissy.
is the head captain of the
Yeah.
She was the head cheerleader. He was the captain of the basketball
like
team.
perfect high school romance.
Blah blah blah, boring stuff. But yeah, the basketball team are out hunting the Hellfire Club and Eddie, and Lucas is with them. And I just like, oh Lucas,
Yeah.
what are you doing, kid? Back in California, Joyce is called Murray.
Yes.
About the doll, and Murray gets her. I think it might have been episode 1 actually, when Murray gets her to break the doll open.
Yeah.
And inside there is a note,
Yeah.
which is "Hop's alive." It's very sort of pidgin English, you know.
Yeah.
Call this number at this time.
Yeah, signed Enzo.
Yeah, signed Enzo, and of course there was supposed to be a date at Enzo's between
Yeah.
the two, so she's convinced that Hopper must actually be
Yeah,
alive.
because the only two that knew about it.
Yeah. We do see a few flashback scenes of Hopper basically avoiding the explosion in the lab, but then being surrounded by Russians.
So he didn't jump. Well, it looks like he didn't jump through the upside down.
I'm not sure. I can't make my mind up because it looks like, I thought it looked like he jumped into it.
Yeah.
You pointed out it looked more like he just jumped down and landed on the ground.
Yeah.
I think he did jump into it, but then he came through it at the Russian lab, the other end.
Oh.
Do you see what I mean? I think Russia were trying to open up a doorway between their facility and Russia using the upside down.
And he just kind of went straight through instead
Yeah.
of ending up
Yeah.
having to walk.
That's what I think.
Oh. Yeah.
Maybe. Because it seems strange that he was surrounded by all those Russian soldiers there.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like when we saw the end of season 3, when the American Marines stormed the base, there were no Russians there. They'd all gone.
Yeah. So
it was like they all ran through, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. But it was very odd. I'm not entirely sure how. Hopefully we might get a little bit more.
yeah.
But yeah, like I said, back in California, Mike's arrived to spend some time with Eleven. There's tension between Will and Mike again, which is a little bit sad.
Yeah.
Jonathan doesn't want to go to college with Nancy. He's been lying to her about that.
Yeah.
His rationale is he wants to stay near his mum.
You know, protect his brother.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
no.
entirely sure what's going on there. As I said, Murray and Joyce they contact this guy. We get to see Hopper is in a gulag in Russia, which is a
Yeah.
really, really horrific prison. He's been tortured. He's been beat.
He's like nearly died.
Yeah, he's in a bad way. He's not had a good time. Season 3 to season 4 has been rough for Hop.
Yeah. He's now bald as well.
Yeah, Red Guardian. Oh, no, wait, that's a different thing. So yeah, he's had a rough old time of it. He's learnt a few words in Russian though,
Yeah.
which enables him to get his legs smashed in
Yeah.
to hopefully to try and help him escape. Hopper's having a rough time. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
A very, very rough time. The guy who they speak to says to Joyce he needs 20,000, I think, American.
I thought it was like 40,000.
You could have been right. 40,000 American dollars, which
To get
is
Hopper,
in a
because Hopper is stuck and he needs to get
him
unstuck.
unstuck. Yeah.
Like a Russian's, like, I'm going to say English is
No.
dodgy.
Yeah. But his English is much better than my Russian, so yeah. Da. Just say da. Da. Yeah, Niet.
Niet.
That's basically what I learned whilst I was there. Nah, da, niet. Niet Problemski, which was wrong as well. So we do get that storyline, and basically he says they need to take the money to a place in Alaska, and a guy's going to fly a plane from Alaska to pick up Hopper.
Yep.
And then we see the guy tell Hopper, like, you know, I'm doing this for you. You have to get on the plane, because if you don't, I'm rich. You're still here. So whatever your plan is, you got to get on with it. So that's kind of all of that. The big thing, really, in episode 2, you know, aside from the beastie killing that poor little Fred, is Elle.
Yeah.
So Elle wants to go to a roller disco.
Yeah.
And she takes Mike, and she's pretending she's got all these friends, and she's really happy.
But she's getting, like, seriously bullied.
She's getting seriously bullied, and she bumps into the bullies, and they are horrible to her. They throw, like, a milkshake over her in the middle of the place. They all surround her. They call her a snitch, which she isn't, because a teacher caught her being bullied at school.
And she actually said, I'm fine, and then the teacher caught on.
Yeah,
so technically...
She really isn't, you know, she really didn't. And, yeah, she's being bullied horrifically. It's horrible. I hate seeing stuff like that, even depicted in TV shows when I know it's not real. It makes my brain itch. But it is horrible. The other thing that annoyed me, I don't know about you, and I know this is just TV, so I know it shouldn't annoy me, but, like, Mike and Will did nothing.
Yeah, although Will did nothing at school. I'm thinking Will's trying to keep a low profile. Like,
I think
everyone knows I'm
right.
connected. Well, oh yeah, and she's now called Jane Hopper. We forgot to mention because she can't be called like 11. Yeah, so she's gone back.
She can't be called 11. You're right,
But like Mike and Will still call her like Elle, but everyone else knows her as Jane.
Yeah,
which
right.
really puts me off. I'm like, that's not Jane.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no.
Who the hell is Jane? Yeah.
Although that is technically her name.
It is technically her name, and
then
it
she's
was
got Hopper.
what Dr. Owens did.
Yeah.
He got her a birth certificate. You know, Mazel tov, you're a father. And when he said that to Hopper all that time ago. So yeah, it is. I mean, it's interesting that what's going on there with the bullying, because one of the things, obviously, we saw in episode 1 is Elle scream like she was going to use her powers.
And she's like got her arm out. Yeah. And it's the amount of second-hand embarrassment I got from
You said that, second-hand embarrassment. I have never heard that term in my life.
Oh, have you not?
No. But
it's like when you feel the embarrassment that someone else must be feeling.
I get it. I get it. It's very good. Second-hand embarrassment. I think I've felt that for members of my family for a decade or more, but... so...
And they're at this place, they're skating around.
And they're really... It's horrible. They're really bullying her. And the thing is, you're watching, you're like, honestly, this girl, she could snap you all in half, you know, like if she really... But the thing is I'm thinking about how angry and how emotional she is, and I'm thinking that used to be like a real trigger point for her powers. If they are ever going to come back, it's probably going to be now.
I feel... like it's not so much that they've gone, she's almost lost confidence. Like, I think they've gone, but like it's an easy, like, I can get them back, but she's gone, they're gone, I'm never getting them back. Like, she's lost hope in kind of having them, and I don't think, like, because to get them originally, she was like shaved, she had to be like completely like to be able to connect with people. She had to be submerged in a tank. Now she just has to close her eyes to find people. So I feel like she's kind of got used to I can just move people with my mind instead of that I need to go in a certain stance, like she's kind of forgotten the basics in a way because she's not had to use it.
So it is a case of like go back to basics and hopefully she'll get better again.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right, but she does snap in a very, very big way.
Yeah.
Now
she grabs a skate and smash.
Okay, so I loved this because and this is very awkward because you're my daughter. I would never ever condone violence. However, if you were ever being picked on to the level she was being picked on in that scene, I am more than happy to pay your bail from police for you to crack one of them in the head with a roller boot. Just so you know, I'm fine with that because it is awful. And maybe that girl will look in the mirror for the rest of her life and remember what an intolerable bitch she was being.
Yep. And I hope her nose gets, like, permanently scarred.
Permanently messed up. I know, people are listening to this going, oh, that's so awful, it's just a girl being mean. Yeah, I know. But girls can be horrible. But yeah, so that kind of scene, I felt like, yeah, go Elle, or Jane. It takes us into the third episode.
Yeah.
And the third episode titled The Monster and the Superhero.
Superwoman.
Superhero. And it opens with a cold open about Dr. Owens, who is no longer in the military.
Yeah.
He was fired. So we see this...
like the one nice guy.
Yeah, well, it's about right, really.
Yeah.
We see that in Hawkins, they have summoned in the army because of what's going on. So obviously, after all the stuff that's happened in Hawkins, they are keeping an eye on the place, which is fair enough. And then they bring in the army, and this general goes, he looks at the body, finds out there's been another one, and he goes to see Dr. Owens. Now, just like the police are hunting Eddie because they think that he's done it, the military are hunting
Elle.
They're hunting Elle because they look at it and think, oh, here's a girl who can do this with her mind. Here are bodies that haven't got any bruises on them. They've clearly been done.
Yeah, and they flash back to the moment in season 1 where she makes them bleed from their eyes, which is different to breaking their bones and removing their eyes.
Exactly, but the military
they make a connection going between Elle and this, and it's like, no, she's in a completely different place.
Well, of course, from their point of view, she's dead. Yeah. Dr. Owens has covered this up, but they are no longer believing it. Yeah. They're onto it. They basically tell Dr. Owens, like, no, we're on to you. Tell us where she is. He's like, I don't know what you're on about. And
she's dead. What are you on about?
Yeah, she's gone. I don't know what you're talking about. Later in the episode, he goes to find her. Yeah. So we're just going to follow this arc quickly. He goes to find her, and Elle, at this point, has been locked up by the police.
Yeah, they're taking her.
He takes her out of that. I was initially very worried, because I said to you when we were watching it...
The second they're in the system.
The second she goes in the system, they'll take pictures, they'll note the tattoo, and the minute that triggers an alert, she's So we knew the general was looking for her, so we see these government cars pull over the police van, but then we see Dr. Owens.
Yeah, he gets out the car, and I'm like... Yes!
And Dr. Owens takes her to a nice cafe to order some food. Yeah. And she orders waffles.
Yeah, although I'm kind of upset because they're like, oh yeah, and they have this deep conversation and they leave and the food comes.
I know.
And the lady looks so sad and the food looks so good.
The food looks amazing.
And they didn't even pay.
I know.
I'm really upset.
That is a trope in TV and film that upsets me every single time.
Yeah. At least eat your food.
The food looked amazing. Take it to go. Don't be so rude. That nice lady brought it out to them. No, I'm completely with you.
Or at least leave money on the table and like a tip as a sorry for wasting your time.
Yeah, enjoy the food yourself. Yeah. Perhaps, No, but they were really out of order.
No.
I'm almost on Team General now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So... Elle and Dr. Owens, like we say, they do have this really good conversation. Dr. Owens says, look, I've been thinking about this ever since what happened. There is some bad stuff going on at Hawkins. Everybody's in danger. We fought this evil before, but it's like a damn virus. It keeps coming back stronger. Yeah. See COVID. I wonder if the person writing season 4 was a bit fed
influenced.
A bit fed up with that line. Just throw that line in there. And he basically says, like, we need you. And she says, I don't have my powers. And he's like, well, look, kid, I think I know how to get them back. Yeah. But we're going to have to go. We got to go now. Or
you're not going to see Mike for a while.
Or I can take you home. It's like, it's completely your choice.
Because people have been telling you what to do forever.
Yeah, and I kind of like that. I think when you're looking at Dr. Owens, this is the 80s as well. So you've always got to keep that in mind.
Although... Sorry, I do feel like it was a bit of a guilt trip. Don't worry, I can take you home if you don't want to, but, like, all your friends in Hawkins are dying.
Yeah, and...
But, like, if you want to go home, you can go home.
The world could end, but if you don't want to do anything to help with that, I don't... Yeah, you could
It wasn't meant like that,
yeah, you could definitely take it... Yeah, you could definitely take it that way. I kind of liked it because for the first time, someone was talking to her like an adult. Yeah. And we're treating her as the hero she is. He was treating her as, look, we need you. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know if this is going to work. I've got this idea. I think it'll work. So, let's give it a go. Fingers crossed, I guess.
Please.
Yeah, hopefully it's going to work. Like you said, so that is the plan between them. That's what's going on with there. Joyce has gone to Alaska with Murray.
Yeah, and they've kind of used a dodgy cover story.
They've used a dodgy cover story.
Oh, I've just forgot to tell you, I've got like a work thing tomorrow. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm going to Alaska.
I'm off to see the Britannicas. The kid's just like, oh, whatever. They leave Jonathan in charge, which is frightening.
Yeah.
Hopper, as we said before, is trying to escape, and he gets hit in the leg so he can try and get the chain off his leg, which is really nasty. Visually, that was
gross.
Not nice at all.
No.
As we said, 11 did get arrested for smashing that girl in the face, but is arrested by saved by Dr. Owens. His people, because when she's in the diner, she says about he gives her the option: we can take you back, or we can go, and then we get the next scene they've gone. So me and you were watching that like, oh, she's gone with him, and then the next thing we see is a governmental car show up at their place. Oh wow, she elected to go home. Damn, Elle. It's like, actually, I don't want to be the hero, but no. So I'm guessing they've gone to tell them. I'm guessing they've sent them there to say,
don't worry, don't freak out, but stop harassing the police, because then they'll realise that she's not with them.
Exactly, yeah. That's what my thoughts is as well. So Mike, Will, and Jonathan are going to have that conversation. It's going to be interesting to see what they do next.
Yeah, if they show us the conversation, or if we just get a,
Because, I mean, if they basically get told, do they go back to Hawkins? Do they think to themselves...
Or do they still try and chase Elle? Like, oh, we want to go with her. We're a team. Ha.
Yeah, okay. We'll have to wait and see what they do. The basketball jocks are charging around vigilante style. They rough up a couple of members of the Hellfire Club who are also in a band with Eddie, and they find out that Dustin was looking for him. So now they're hunting Dustin. And
Lucas is like, oh...
At this point,
Oopsie.
Lucas finally appears to pick a side, and he breaks in and uses the radio Cerebro to contact Dustin. Dustin's like, "Oh, meet us at this place. This is where Eddie is."
And then, he jumps out the window, and they're like, "What are you doing, Sinclair?" And he's like, "I've found a clue. I know where he is." And I'm like, "Lucas!"
Yeah, I was so mad.
I was like, "Oh."
But he actually takes him to Hopper's old hut.
Which makes me quite sad.
Yeah.
Because you see how trashed it is.
Yeah, it did get wrecked.
Yeah. And they did tell him, oh, your thing's got trashed. And he's like, oh, it's fine, we can fix it together, but...
And then, no. He takes them there and runs off. So, finally, Lucas has picked a side.
Yeah.
He's back with the Hellfire Club, with our group. Finally, Lucas. We're keeping an eye on you, young man. Steve and his group are out on the road, and they see the police there and Nancy there.
Yeah, and they're like,
obviously because of that
if Nancy's here,
something bad's happened. They all basically then compare notes. So we've got the four talking to him about Eddie and everything that's happened. Nancy talking about how that young kid that was just with her has just died as well. Nancy's got an idea. Obviously, the conversation we had with Eddie's uncle. She wants to go look up Victor Creel.
Yeah.
So that's her idea. She's going to go and do that. And Steve, quite rightly, by the way, says none of us should be going off on our own right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephen.
Steve. So Steve offers to go with Nancy, and then they realise that no one can drive his car.
Max wants to.
And he's like, no, not you, not ever. That cracked me up. I enjoyed that. Never again. So in the end, Nancy goes with...
Robin,
thank you. Batman and Robin, they go off, and Steve gets in the car with the kids and goes, I'm always the babysitter.
Yeah, and I'm like, yes, they put the line in.
So we've got two lines of investigation. Max has worked out that both people who have died were seeing the school psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And she's worked that out because she is seeing the school psychiatrist. Yeah. So we got the two lines here. So let's do one first, which is Nancy and Robin.
Yeah. Nancy
and Robin go to the library, and while they're there, they go down and investigate the newspapers and the articles around Victor Creel.
Yeah.
They're not really finding anything. It's very straightforward.
Yeah, and it's kind of a very awkward thing because Robin's very
talky.
different
Yeah.
to Robin. Like the way Robin's very different to Nancy.
Yeah,
like the way of like solving things. Because Robin's not actually been that involved.
No.
If I'm honest. She's like, there's a girl with superpowers. There's evil Russians. She's kind of just been like... And to be honest, in her head, she probably still thinks everything's still a bit...
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it is funny. I mean, Robin as a character is great, and she did crack the Russian code. She is quite smart, but she does talk and talk. And she says to Nancy, she says, if I annoy you, just tell me, because I don't really interact with people very well, and I feel like I might say stuff that annoys you.
Yeah, and Nancy's like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, gritted teeth trying to be polite. I think Robin's someone who, when things are tense, likes to talk, and Nancy's someone who likes it to be quiet, so... I don't know, I quite enjoyed those two interacting. That was kind of fun for me. But they're going through the newspapers and they're not really getting anywhere.
But then
And then what happens is there's a kind of... In America, especially at that time, and then it became very big in magazines in the 90s.
Yeah.
It kind of... do you remember when we watched the Men in Black films?
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a joke. Will Smith's character was like, oh my god, you're looking for leads in these type of magazines?
Yeah.
And Tommy Lee Jones's character says this is the best investigative reporting on the planet, son. And they're like conspiracy theorists kind of things.
Yeah.
So they find the newspaper, and Robin says, look, if something was weird about this, these are the people who would have written about it.
Yeah, and the other articles that they were looking
were just boring, you know. And Nancy knows that. She worked at the Hawkins Post.
Yeah.
You know, she was trying to investigate a story about rats and stuff, and they just weren't interested.
Yeah.
So when they then look at that, they find an article saying that Victor Krill claimed a demon murdered the family.
And haunted the house.
And at that point, they're like, oh, snap. Okay.
Yeah. That wasn't a demon. That was...
Well, we don't know. We got no idea.
Because... Yeah, but that's going to be something from the Upside Down.
But up until this point, which is interesting, is we believed the Upside Down came to Hawkins because of 11.
Yeah.
11 used her powers, cracked open the doorway in error, and that's how it happened. This would appear that Hawkins has had an issue far longer than 11, so that's kind of opened up a new door. That's opened up something interesting. We're going to have to investigate that.
So 11's been, like, shamed. Oh, you're the one that brought these creatures in. You can close the gate, blah, blah, blah.
Well, maybe there's already a gate open. Maybe
what if Russia's had their gate open for ages?
Who knows? So that's something we're going to have to... That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a big deal here, that this is potential for that. They obviously now want to reunite with everyone else to share with what they've learned.
Mm-hmm.
The others, however, are at the school because Max went to see her psychiatrist, who obviously wasn't going to talk about her other patients.
Yeah.
So Max stole her office keys. Steve, Dustin, and Max go and let themselves into her office and get the files. And it's at this point they realise, oh wow, both of these kids were in therapy. Both of them were seeing things. Both of them were hearing things.
Similar, like things like nausea, nosebleeds. And Max has been getting the same thing.
Max has been getting all of the same things.
Aww.
And then she starts to hear it.
She hears the clock. And I'm like,
and
no.
She then wanders out and is having that hallucination. She sees the clock merged into the school wall. Dun, dun, dun.
No.
I am very worried for Max at this point.
Yeah.
What do you think?
See, I'm worried from the trailer and everything.
Yeah.
But part of me wonders if they're trying to make us worried.
Yeah.
Because I just don't feel like they'd kill Max off, at least not this early in the season.
Well, I mean, this is 3 episodes in to a 9-episode series.
Yeah, and they're long episodes as well.
They are. I don't know. I'm obviously nervous for the character because I like Max. But I like you said, when they put the trailer together and they show us that with her levitating, and then immediately we see the people that levitate are the ones being murdered, it would be a pretty harsh thing to do to us. But then, of course, it could literally have been that. It could literally be the foreshadowing. Here you go. We're telling you it's going to happen, and then it happens. So, episode 4 is next for us. We will be back to discuss 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to round it out hopefully next week for everybody, but keep an eye on our social media and we'll let you know. I hope you've enjoyed this recap of Season 4, Episode 1, 2, and 3. We will be back really soon to talk about more. Until then, everybody, you all take care.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.